Let's make some noise for the fit. I got this shirt from Ross. I haven't been able to show it off much, but I have a bunch of these pins that are like origami animals. This is a squirrel, the Loki scepter necklace, House of Leaves shirt, and yeah, pay no mind to the mess behind me. We'll get to that. Hello, if you've been here before, welcome back. If not, hi. My name is David. I make videos talking about media that I want to talk about. This video is inspired by Jessica's library card. She made her own video of her top 10 sci-fi and fantasy series, where she goes in order organized of her top 10 series that she's ever read. And I wanted to do that too. So this is me talking about my top 10 series. I didn't want to just focus it only on sci-fi and fantasy, but it ended up being that. So here we go. So like Jessica, I have some rules for myself. I had read at least 2 books of a series, and I cannot include a series that has only had 1 book out, or I've only read 1 book of. So, for example, The Trader Borrowed Cormorant, I've only read the first book, loved it, have yet to read the next few books. So I'm not including that one in honorable mention, I guess. And I do also want to have some honorable mentions. These are 5 series that I thought about including, but some things pushed them out. Other series pushed them themselves inside and pushed them out, etc. I just want to briefly mention these 5 series honorable mentions. Jurassic Park, books 1 and 2, Jurassic Park, the OG, and then Lost World, I have them represented up here. Good. I loved the first book. The second book, fine. And if I want to include the entire series, those 2 books, duology, I feel like having the second book be just fine is not great, so honorable mention. Del Toro Quest have 2 books that are encompass all 8 books. And it's been a hot minute since I read it, and it almost got on the list, but it got beat out by other ones. Want to briefly mention it, I do prefer the adaptation show, because it's easier to get to. And I read these like 2-3 years ago. I need to revisit them, but definitely pretty good children's series. Septimus Heap, I just finished rereading the entire series and having them physically so I can display them like this. Fun series, flawed, definitely flawed, but really very much enjoyed it. Percy Jackson, I am revisiting the series as well, and I have only reread the second up to the second book, and then I also want to continue reading the Heroes of Olympus series. And so because there's such gaps of knowledge for me, then I don't want to include it yet into like this top 10 list. And finally, Murderbot Diaries. I have only read, so it's what, like 7 novellas in total. I've only read the first 2, and it's in 1 book, the combination of it. And I did like it. I did like it a lot. I loved it. And I have the next book ready to read like really soon. But I wanted to get more volumes under my belt before I say anything about the series. But I did really enjoy the first 2 novellas of it, at least. So here you go. These are my top 10 series. I've either finished the entire series or read at least the vast majority of it. And yeah, I'm not going to order them in like least favorite to most favorite, but I will do them in like certain like groups and stuff. Hi, Editing David here. So before we begin, I start counting down from 10, and after I finish the book series for 9, I immediately switch to counting up from 1. So I go from 10, 9, and then 3, 4, 5. I don't know why I did that. I had a brain fart, and I just lost all the numbers. So for the next 2 entries, I will say 10 and 9. The chapters in the description and the video, to separate the video, will reflect counting up from 1. So, and I didn't even rank any of these. These are not in any specific order in terms of better than the last one or whatever. So at least there's that. But I'm so sorry if you got a little confused halfway through. You will see the change as it goes on. But yeah, I guess since I just talked about Percy Jackson, honorable mention, stuff like that, a book that was going to be, a series that was going to be an honorable mention, but definitely has earned its place in my top 10 is number 10, The Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. Let's put you over there. Magic. This is the first time, I don't know if you noticed, this is the first time that I'm trying to film center. It's kind of difficult, but that's fine. Anyways, Hunger Games, great sci-fi series. We all know, we all love it. I've been revisiting the first 3 books, and I just recently bought Mockingjay to have it. Sunrise and Reaping just came out recently, loved it. And I read Battle of the Songbirds and Snakes after I finished Sunrise because I needed to have the entire series read. Also loved it. And it's just a great, great sci-fi dystopia series. We all know it, we all love it. And I think it has earned, since I've been rereading it alongside Percy Jackson, Percy Jackson is still, it holds up, but The Hunger Games definitely is so well written and so amazing. Catching Fire, when I reread it, it was just amazing. 5 stars. Spoiler, I guess. I have yet to talk about it, but I absolutely adored rereading this series, and I am so excited to read Mockingjay. I got my younger sister to read The Hunger Games because she doesn't read that much. She's only really read the entirety of the Wings of Fire series, and then I got her into reading this series just so that she can actually start having other perspectives and other stories that she's read. I'm also going to be sharing some of the books that I read when I was younger, and this was one of the first ones I was like, you need to read this. You need to read The Hunger Games so that you can learn about it, consume it, watch the movies too. And it's an amazingly written series, and I'm really happy that I'm able to revisit it now in this day. And as I continue talking about the series, you'll start noticing that they'll begin to populate the empty spaces in my shelves here. I did The Hunger Games first as well because I have yet to organize it all together, because I have yet to actually reread Mockingjay. And so they're just spread out around, and then I'll organize them later. But I want to point it out just in case. Hey, yeah, these holes, they're going to be filled. Uh, these empty spaces will be filled in as I talk about the book. So, book series number 9 is the Iron Widow series by Xiran Zhao. Now, I only have the first book in my hand right now because I am making my boyfriend read the second book, Heavily Tyrant. And this series, I have the jacket here so it doesn't mess up when he takes it to work. This series is inspired by Chinese history, but it's not an analogy to Chinese history. Xiran Zhao is very, very adamant. Is like, this is not me trying to recreate, and it is just inspired by. And it's this country that employs men and women to operate huge mechas. They're called chrysalises, basically just Pacific Rim. And they use them to fight these aliens that come and try to take over, try to destroy the countryside. And Wu Zetian is a younger daughter in a poor family whose sister was conscripted into this service and was killed. And she wanted to take revenge, and she begins to do so. And it is an amazing piece of work talking about labor rights and gender roles and how a society can function and be horrible to its people, and how it can be better, and it's just filled with so much rage, righteous rage, and want for a better life. And this, I think it's going to be a trilogy. I don't really know, but the second book ends in a cliffhanger, so there's going to be at least a third book. And I'm really excited for that. I had recently read Heavenly Tyrant earlier this year. Iron Widow, it's been a hot minute. This series has not been finished yet, but both books have been absolutely amazing. And I would highly recommend it to anyone who wants to learn about leftist theory, about labor rights, labor laws, misogyny, and how it hurts women. And it's just an amazing piece of work filled with righteous rage. Love it. I guess that this group is just book series that have not yet fully completed, but I have enjoyed the first 2 books at least already. And so number 3 is The Shadow of the Leviathan series by Robert Jackson Bennett. Really happy to say that Jessica's library card also got me into reading this series, and it's also one on her list. and I absolutely adored it. It's a retelling or reimagining of Sherlock and Watson, where it is Ana de Labra, who is the Sherlock in this world, who employs Dinios Cole, the Watson of this world, to solve murders and mysteries in a world very similar, I would say, to Iron Widow as well, where it's a country besieged by aliens and they defend against aliens or monsters, the Leviathans, the shadow of the Leviathan, attacking the walls. And yeah, that's not the main thing about the story. The main story is the mysteries. And these two mysteries have been amazing, and I absolutely adored it. I've talked about this series before. There's probably going to be more of this series, and I'm very excited about that because I would love to hear more about Din and Anna's stories. And it doesn't end in a cliffhanger per se, but it definitely ends in like, oh, there's definitely going to be more here. And so I'm really excited for that. Another series that has not yet fully completed, not been fully published yet, is number 4, the Dark God series by Tara Sim. I'm putting it over here so you can see it better. This is a fantasy series about a fictional world who's been cut off from its 4 progenitor gods and has caused some ecological, spiritual, other types of issues and problems. In the first book, City of Dusk, is set in the City of Dusk. And what's its name? It's been a hot minute. In the city of Nexus, and which is the capital of one of the countries in this fictional world. The emperor, who is ruling the kingdom, and he has 4 families that he rules with him, basically royals, and he's looking for an heir. And so the 4 families have different powers. They are descendants from the 4 progenitor gods that have cut themselves off from the world. And it is the 4 heirs competing to be the new emperor at the same time that they do not want to be the heir, do not want to be the emperor, and are trying to fix the world itself. And so I really enjoyed this series, mostly because of the second book. The first book was good. It was fine. I really, really enjoyed it. The characters and the magic is also really cool because they have different powers. There's shadow, light, death, and elemental powers. And all of the 4 heirs that represent each of the 4 families, great interconnected social. They have great interactions, is what I'm trying to say. Really fun interactions between them and between other side characters, supporting characters, etc. In the first book, they're dealing with stuff there, and then in the second book, they split off. Which normally usually would make me feel really sad because I don't get to see them interacting anymore. However, they do split off in chunks, and they have really important personal side quests, quote unquote, that will eventually lead into the main quest. And what I really enjoy about the second book is that it expands from Nexus. In the first book, it was just in Nexus. Let me show you the maps. This is the city where they live in, and it's really well made. I really like this map. And then in the second book is they are no longer in the city, and they're split across different continents and different dimensions as well. And so I was really happy how it grew as a story. Because usually when these types of fantasy series, if it stays within the same location, it gets kind of stale. But Midnight Kingdom, the second book, decided to do something different, and I was very, very happy with that. And so the third book has not come out yet. It is called The Dawn Throne, I believe. Don't know yet when it will come out, but when it does, trust, I will get my hands on that as soon as it does. Hopefully it's a paperback like these are, but who knows. And yeah, I absolutely adored this series. For my 5th favorite series, I wanted to keep with a pattern. So the Dark God series, I had read the first book and absolutely adored it, and I wanted to buy the second book. And at the same time, when I bought the second book, I bought the continuations of other series that I had started that I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do kind of want to finish them. And so this one, the Dark Gods, this number 5 that I'm going to talk about, and number 6, are all series that I read in quick succession next to each other, and all three of them were absolutely amazing. And these next two are completed, fully completed. The rest of these are going to be fully completed series. And yeah, I read them all around the same time, almost back to back. No, exactly back to back, yeah. And I was really happy with all of them. And so, number 5 is The First Sister Trilogy by Linden E. Lewis. The First Sister Trilogy is an amazing sci-fi opera series, and it is revolving around the wars and interactions between human colonies in the 4 planets, elementary school, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Earth and Mars are in an alliance, and so are Mercury and Venus, and so they are warring against each other. And the first book, The First Sister, follows the first sister, who is basically a concubine slash priestess for Mars slash Earth. They're called the Geans. And she's a religious figure that is sent to the war front to give comfort and guidance to the soldiers there. However, she is not allowed to speak. She cannot speak at all. And she eventually learns, she falls in love with her charge and eventually learns that everything is a lie. At the same time, the human colonies in Mercury and Venus, the Ikari, send an assassin, Litosol Lucius, to find and kill his former partner, because in their army they would pair up, and those partners would be deadly weapons with each other. And he's sent to go and find his partner who has defected from the army, and he has to go kill them when he still cares for them a lot. And so as the story keeps unfolding, we move into the second rebel to the last hero. It has some of the most amazing sci-fi world building I've ever seen. There are people who used to live on the asteroid belt, or still do, and they are completely physically and genetically changed and become a different race of people called Asters. And they're just humans, but just changed, and they are treated horribly. They're being discriminated against, and they are looked down upon. The reason all of the human colonies war with each other is because they are simply trapped inside the asteroid belt, as after the Dead Century War, which was a war fought between all humans and all synthetics, robots. All the robots decided to just up and leave, and have caused a sort of barrier between the 4 planets and the asteroid belt and everything else around the galaxy. And so they're all just stuck inside the 4-planet space, and that causes wars. And the robots are outside, and they're there. And so when I first heard about that in the first book, robots don't do anything there. They're just a background. But when I first heard that in the first book, I was like, that sounds so cool. And guess what? They do stuff with that in the next 2 books. And it's just an amazing, amazing world building. Love the characters, very queer as well. And I adored all of this series. And it just kept ramping up and had some amazing sci-fi concepts. A character, I won't spoil who, but a character is killed and is brought back as a robot. So cool. But yeah, loved this series. And number 6, the other series that I finished reading all in quick succession, along with the first 2 of those last 2 that I just spoke about, is the Padme Trilogy by E.K. Johnston. I'm not fully sure what order they're supposed to be in. I know Queen's Hope is definitely the last book, but these 2, one of these was published before the other, but the first one that was published is set later in the series. Whatever. It's about the life of Padme Amidala, who we all know as an amazing character in Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Unfortunately, it is a pretty fun series. And it's covering when she became Queen of Naboo, to becoming a senator, to dealing with the Republic. And it covers vast portions of the movies, fills in spaces for the movies, especially in the Battle of Naboo. And the focus of the series is about Padme and her shadows, which are her handmaidens. And it is a collection of 5 to 6 handmaidens, depending on the book, that stand in for Padme as queen and then eventually as senator. And they are trained not only for deception, not only for disguising as Padme, but also in combat. And they are all practically the same, not the same person, but they communicate as one and they make decisions as one. And it is an amazing found family that I absolutely loved. And it does go from when she is Queen of Naboo to her relationship with Anakin. It fleshes out their relationship a lot more. It introduces a bunch of women who are part of her retinue, her handmaidens, that have their own wants and needs and interpersonal relationships. When she eventually does die in Star Wars, that's not a spoiler, that has happened again and again. Padme dies because of Anakin's betrayal, and it goes into more of an explanation as to like why she would die and how she felt and all the people around her, how that affected them and her legacy as well. And so it's an amazing love letter to Padme as a character, and I was really really happy with it when I eventually got to finally finish this series. For these next few books, I just don't really have any organization for them. For number 7, I have His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. I was recommended to read the series by a friend of mine, and I had never read it when I was younger. It's a children's story, or it's a young adult story, and it is the 3 books are The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Ember Spyglass. We all know from the Golden Compass movie was not very good, but the adaptation on HBO is amazing. And this book series is about Lyra, who is a child of a prophecy. She doesn't know what kind of prophecy it is. She doesn't know about the prophecy. She is just trying to do good in her world. And the adults around her are either trying to support her or trying to stop her. And it is just an amazing fantasy story that feels so nice, right? Because I feel like the events that happen always make sense and it never feels hopeless, especially when something bad is happening. It doesn't feel so bad because you know that it's going to end up nice and good. Even when something bad is happening, it's still comforting. It fully looks at Lyra as the hero. And this is just an amazing, amazing series that I should have read as a child, but I never got to. Never really knew about it, honestly, until very recently. I read this about 2 years ago, and that's stuck with me since then. And it is, I would say that any children of the age of like middle grade age, maybe, needs to read this series so they can understand more about the world, more about themselves, and more about the adults around them. Because some children's series, say for example Septimus Heap, treat adults in a very odd way. His Dark Materials treats adults as they should be treated, as flawed people, flawed characters, but not as like overtly always going to be terrible. There are obviously horrible people, horrible adults. The people around Lyra, the adults around her, the story does not look at them as jokes. If someone is bad, if someone is doing bad, they are treated with the seriousness that it deserves. And I really enjoy that versus jokey, haha, parents are bad in Septimus Heap, right? I don't want to like fully compare them because they are also different types of stories. But as a children's book series, I think His Dark Materials is amazing to be able to help process emotions and help process how life is for a child. And so, highly recommended. We'll also be giving this book to my sister at some point, or at least getting her the Golden Compass so that she can try it. Series number 8 is the Southern Reach Trilogy by Jeff VanderMeer. This is an amazing sci-fi horror, cosmic horror series regarding a weird area that is occurring. This is the Area X, where people around it are trying to respond to what's happening. Annihilation obviously becomes the movie starring Natalie Portman, Natalie Portman. I think the first book, fine. I need to reread it. I've already reread it recently, and I need to reread it because I just cannot fully grasp it. A bunch of women scientists go into Area X to try to understand what's happening. Crazy shit happens. Authority. It is a new man becomes a director of the Southern Reach government organization that is looking over, protecting, hiding Area X in Annihilation. This one, Authority, fine, good. I did like it, but it's definitely the weaker of the three books. Acceptance, amazing, amazing science fiction, amazing horror moments as well, which is the main characters in both of the first two books are going back into Area X and doing stuff. And also the backstory as to what happened in Area X as well. Amazing. And I know that there is a fourth book that came out. I don't know what place it is in like the chronology. I don't know if it's like before Annihilation or after Acceptance. Not fully sure. We'll get to it eventually when I reread the series in full. But that's going to be in the future. I really liked how this is the only like horror series that I've read that has sustained its horror throughout, which I think is very difficult. Jeff VanderMeer is also a very difficult writer. The prose is very dense, but this is one of the few books that I've been actually able to read of his. Some of the books I have not been able to read. I tried reading some of his books and I just couldn't. It was too hard, too difficult for me. I'll revisit them, but. Southern Reach Trilogy, amazing sci-fi, amazing world building, descriptions, everything. Acceptance, one of my top sci-fi stories ever. And yeah, it's amazing. Book series number 9 is a series you've heard me talk about before, if you've been here before, and it is the Age of Darkness series by Katy Rose Poole. They're kind of heavy. So we have There Will Come a Darkness, As the Shadow Rises and Into the Dying Light. I specifically remember, this is a fantasy series, I specifically remember having There Will Come a Darkness in my to be read list randomly. I don't even remember where I first saw it, but I was like, it's on my list. And I went to the library one time when I was visiting home during the summer during college. Got it from the library, and I was like, yeah, sure. I don't have any books to read right now. Might as well get this first book. Don't know anything about it. Don't remember why I had it on my list. But yeah, let me just read it. Oh my god, I loved it. It was so good. It's about 5 characters that have been connected to a prophecy about the end of the world. And the 5 characters are trying to stop the end of the world from occurring in this fictional fantasy world. I would say maybe Roman inspired, but it's definitely like Mediterranean inspired. And there's different types of magic as well. And it has one of my absolute favorite romance tropes, which is a bodyguard romance. Loved that. Also gay. And the story just devolves from them trying to stop the end of the world to like trying to stop a cult to trying to stop a god. And it's so good. Immediately when I finished reading this book, I was like, I have to get in person. I have to buy the second book. And then by that time, the third book hadn't even been published, and I pre-ordered it as well. And that was just amazing. The entire series, I swear to God, I read each of these books in one day. I think that's an exaggeration. I don't fully remember, but I definitely read them very, very quickly. Loved it. And it is one of my top favorite fantasy series. And I always want to go back and read it, but I know that I will be consumed by the series again. And I have so many other books that I have to read. And I finished it. I have it here. They'll always be here for me. But it's just amazing. Let me show you the map as well. Look at this map. That was a jacket. I love this map. And there's like, what are they called? They're like, what's it in this world? Wonders of the world? Right. These are like 6 religious wonders of the world. And in all the 3 books, we visit all these 6 locations for specific reasons. And it's just amazing. Oh, so good. The characters are so fun. Like I said, I read it in the middle of college. This series reignited my love for books. And so, because at that time I was in the middle of college, it was hard for me to read anything for fun. And I would get through like a handful of books every once in a while. In 2020, I read about 20 books. And since reading this book, it has just skyrocketed my love for books. Again, I rediscovered loving reading books because I read a lot in high school. Once college started, it was hard, and then it's just been a, I wouldn't say downhill, but it's been uphill for me since this series that reignited my love for fantasy, sci-fi. Been wanting to read more horror, and I'm really happy that I was able to read this series. So you may say, David, is that's it, right? You have all the space has been filled in. This is just empty blank space. This is just empty blank space because I'm leaving some space. But all of the holes have been filled. In your books, what's left there to talk about? Book series number 10. Book series number 10 is Animorphs by K.A. Applegate. I've talked about this series so far already a lot on this channel, and it's just an amazing sci-fi series. For those of you who are not in the know, Animorphs is about 5 kids, eventually 6 kids, who learn about a centuries-long war between the Andalites, which are an alien species that is like blue centaurs with scorpion tails and eye stalks that have the technology to be able to morph into animals or different species, and their war against the Yeerk Empire. The Yeerks are brain slugs that burrow into the brains of other species and take them over. And that war has reached planet Earth. And the Animorphs are just, at first, 5 children: Jake, Cassie, Marco, Rachel, and Tobias, who encounter the crash ship of an Andalite prince who gives them the powers to morph to be able to fight the Yeerks and stop their invasion of Earth. Eventually, they are joined in by Axe, who is an Andalite, the brother of the alien who first gave them their powers, and also that alien, the prince, is also the father, secret father of Tobias. Spoilers, I guess, but it's I've talked about it before. Anyways, and yeah, it's just a bunch of books of them doing different things. And there are times where I'm like, a lot of this feels very going around in circles. The status quo doesn't change that much, but when it does, it's really fun. And I'm on book 37, I think, and I've only been able to consume them. The first 5 of them I was able to get through the library, but the rest of them have had to be through the Audiomorphs podcast. It was run by this guy named Daniel. Shout out to Daniel. He is making audiobooks of Animorphs, and it is an amazing production. He changes his voice for every single character. I have a video ranking all of the first 40 books that I've read so far of Animorphs, and that includes books 31 to 35, and then 5 spin-off books that have been amazing as well. I loved Animorphs. It's so good. The stakes are so high. Sometimes the status quo does not change that much. However, the characters grow in amazing ways. That makes sense. Sometimes there are some books that are like, ooh, this character would not really do this decision, but it happens in a book series this big. There are a total of 54 books in the main series, and then like half a dozen, or like between half a dozen and a dozen spin-off books or side stories that are also really good. And I spent the vast majority of last year reading or listening to audiobooks of the Audiomorphs podcast, and I've definitely talked about it before. Loved it. And I finally caught up to Daniel releasing the episodes week by week, and so I'm slowly going through them as well. Once I was able to finish reaching all the way through to where he is at right now, I was able to start reading other series, and stuff like that. But because I made it my own goal to consume the Animorphs series, because I've seen a lot about it on like Tumblr of people talking about like, yeah, this series is intense, and like, yeah, it is. I never knew that there were brain slugs that were trying to do a colonization on planet Earth, and it's really fun. The adventures they get into, some of them are amazing, some of them are fine. I've ranked all of them, so if you want to check that out, please do. But yeah, this is just an amazing, amazing series. Children's series. You've seen the covers. You know these are jokes, but it is a very good series. Very serious. Takes itself serious, but has some amazing, amazing funny moments as well. Heartfelt moments, horrifying moments. It is a mixture of many different things under this kids turning into animals umbrella, and I just adored it. Anyways, yes, so that is all of my top 10 series of that I've read so far. If you've read any of these series, let me know. Let me know what you think. I absolutely adored the series. Any of them honorable mentions as well. Those are really good. I'm going to continue reading Murderbot Diaries to see how that goes. There's a handful of other series that I read when I was younger. You can kind of see it in the camera. This series, the Among the Hidden series by Margaret Pearson Haddix, amazing children's series that I need to revisit. I just bought the box set of it. Let's see. I'm going to stop myself from talking about other series. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Share with your friends. Don't forget to be passionate, and I'll see you later.